Hello everyone, welcome back to another Magic the Gathering Arena video. My name is Elite Largo, and today we're going to be doing another part of intro to Magic slash video for new players, all that kind of jazz. So this is a continuation of the video I posted yesterday. I figured I kind of enjoyed doing the video yesterday, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over basic deck construction, deck strategies, all that stuff, and then ways to play those strategies. And some of these strategies will be very basic. I know I said that just a second ago, but also some of these strategies may be a little bit more on the complex side as far as like what your goal is for the deck. Now, no camera again. I'm just going full audio because I just want, I want everybody to be able to see the entire screen and not have a portion of it occupied by, my camera. So, some of the basic deck ideas, really, like when it comes down to like bare bones, like if you're really just trying to be straightforward, be aggro. So aggro is basically just an aggressive deck where you're just playing creatures, cheap creatures that have some pretty powerful effects, and just going straight after your opponent to try and knock them out as quickly as possible. So with that in mind, you usually run a very light form of removal and just heavy creatures, and maybe even other creatures that provide a way of making your other creatures stronger. So with that in mind, I'll go ahead and take a look at just a few of these aggro decks and go over some of the strategies. This first one here is my mono white deck, and it is all about life gain while simultaneously taking out your opponent with an overwhelming amount of power on the board. So the first two creatures that are 1-drops, Alseid of Life's Bounty. Now this is an enchantment creature, so it counts as an enchantment and a creature. And you can usually tell that it's an enchantment by the border of the card. You can see how it's kind of glittering a little bit. Now, it is a 1/1 lifelink, and it has an ability: tap 1, sacrifice Alseid of Life's Bounty. Target creature enchantment you control gains protection from the color of your choice until the end of turn. Now, protection and hexproof are two different things, because you'll see this quite often, and some people make this mistake. So hexproof means the creature cannot be targeted by spells your opponents control. Now, in that event, the only thing that can take out those type of creatures is, say, maybe some way of removing hexproof. There are a few, cards that can get rid of hexproof. There's also, board wipes, destroy all creatures, hexproof, since it's a targeted ability. Board wipes that just say destroy all or exile all trumps that effect as well. And then there's also making the player sacrifice that creature. So that's the way you get rid of hexproof. Now, protection is a little bit different. Protection means that it gains a protection of that color globally, even if you were to target it with your own spell. If you were to make a mistake and then say you gave a Healer's Hawk protection from white, and then you tried on that same turn to give it +1/+1, well, you can't because it has protection from white, so your spell will just fizzle. So another thing that this really does is some of these board wipes that you'll see mostly in red or red-white cards is stuff that deals damage to each creature. Now, it's considered a board wipe, but it does deal damage directly to each creature. It'll say Storm's Wrath deals 4 damage to each creature, or Deafening Clarion deals 3 damage to each creature. Somebody can sacrifice this Alseid and then give one of the other creatures protection from red. Now, that means that creature will survive those board wipes because it's dealing damage directly to each creature. So since you're saying protection from red, it tries to deal damage to each creature, and then it goes, oh wait, this creature has protection from red, I can't touch it, so it will survive. On top of that, it also means, depending on whatever color you choose, it's also useful in blocking. So if you were to, say, have a big creature coming in to hit you, You can sacrifice Alseid to give one of your creatures protection of that creature's color that's attacking you. It gets protection, and then you can block it, and it won't die. So it's kind of like a indestructible for a turn. Now, so it's a very useful mechanic, and it's a great creature to have as a 1-drop. Healer's Hawk, another 1-drop. It's just a 1/1 flying lifelink. The flying is very relevant because it's just an evasion technique. Now, in here, this is something I've been running that I really like. For this is called Light of Hope, and for 1 white, you can choose one of these 3 effects. You can gain 4 life, which is very relevant in this deck. You can destroy target enchantment, which is also very relevant in the structure, in the standard environment that we're playing in right now, because there are a lot of powerful enchantments, and having a 1-cost destroy target enchantment as an instant is very useful. Or you can put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. So you have a lot of flexibility with this card, and as an instant for 1 mana, I think it's very, very good and should be main decked in this kind of a deck. Now, the 2-drop here is Ajani's Pridemate. Now, this is probably one of the strongest cards for mono white, and it is a pain to get rid of if it sits on the board for a few turns and you're gaining life. Because as you can see here, it's a 2 mana, so it's 1 colorless and 1 white, 2/2, and whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Ajani's Pridemate. Now that means if you were to hit somebody with a Healer's Hawk and an Alseid, you're gaining 1 life simultaneously. So that means you will be getting 2 +1 counters on Ajani's Pridemate, because you're gaining 1 from Alseid, 1 from Healer's Hawk. Does that make sense? I hope I said that correctly. So this thing can just get super large really quick, and it becomes a massive problem if someone isn't playing like a hard destroy target creature ability. Then there's this card. This is a double white, so it costs 2, but it's 2 white. Daxos, Blessed by the Sun. He is another legendary. He's a legendary creature. Well, legendary enchantment creature, so that's pretty relevant. But and this is just an alternate art. You may have a different art of this. And so his toughness is equal to your devotion to white, as I explained earlier or in another video. Devotion is based upon how many mana symbols. So say like it says it right here. This does a better job of explaining devotion. It says it right on the screen. Devotion to white. Each white in the mana cost of permanents you control counts toward your devotion to white. So if you were just to play him by himself, he would be a 2/2 because he counts his own devotion. But if you say have Daxos and a Healer's Hawk and an Alseid, he'll come out as a 2/4, and then so on and so forth. So. And then his other ability is really good. Whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life. So you see the synergy here with the life gain in Ajani's Pridemate. Then there's Eidolon of Obstruction. I run this card simply because I feel like for 2 mana, and this is a rare, by the way, you can see by the gold symbol on the right-hand side. So this is another enchantment creature. So he is, for 2 mana, 1 colorless, 1 white. He's a 2/1 first strike. Now, first strike is very relevant. That means if he were to attack or block whatever creature that decides to block him or he's blocking, he's going to do his damage first before the other creature does damage to it. So if he's blocking, say, a creature that is a 1/1 or a 2/1 or 3/1, or even a creature with 2 toughness, he's going to deal damage to that creature first, and he's going to kill it, and he won't take any damage. So first strike is very good, and especially for a creature that has a low-cost creature that has 2 power is very, very useful. And his other ability is very relevant as well. Loyalty abilities of planeswalkers your opponents control cost 1 mana to activate. So say if they cast a Teferi for 3 mana, they can't activate his ability because they don't have an open 1 mana to pay in order to activate its ability. So it's very, very relevant. It slows down control decks or decks that are playing planeswalkers on curve. And on curve means they're dropping lands at the same rate they're dropping creatures or spells or whatever. So say they tap out for a planeswalker and you have this on the battlefield, they're not going to be able to use its ability as soon as it hits the battlefield because they don't have any mana available to pay for the 1. So it's very useful, and I think the card is massively underrated. Now, for the another 2-drop here, so there's a lot of 1 and 2 drops. Really, the most expensive casting cost in this deck is 4 mana, and I'll explain the mana to creature thing here in a minute as far as casting costs go. So this is Impassioned Orator, another 2 mana, 2/2, and then whenever another creature you enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. So again, more life gain synergy here. Then the only removal we have are 4 copies of Banishing Light. This is probably one of the most powerful hard removals for, I guess most powerful hard removals for at a low casting cost for white. And when Banishing Light enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Banishing Light leaves the battlefield. So you can exile any non-land permanent you want for 3 mana, and since it's an enchantment, it just stays on the battlefield and keeps that permanent exiled until Banishing Light is destroyed. Then another 3-drop is Heliod. Now this is pretty much one of the finishers here. He is a legendary enchantment creature. Now, as I forgot to mention earlier because of Daxos, legendary permanence means you can only have 1 copy of that legendary card on the battlefield at any time. So you can have a Heliod and a Daxos on the battlefield, but you can't have 2 Heliods because it's a legendary and you can only have 1. So if you were to play like another Heliod while Heliod is on the battlefield, the game is going to make you sacrifice one of them. So he is a very powerful card for 3 mana. He's a 5/5 indestructible, and as long as your devotion to white is less than 5, he's not a creature. But like all devotion, he counts his own devotion, so he starts out with 1 devotion, but you can easily get to 5. So say you have a Alseid, Healer's Hawk, and a Daxos, you're already at 5 when you play him. So, and of course, Banishing Light is a permanent that you'll have on your side, so that counts towards devotion as well. Now, even if he's not a creature, his global ability is extremely useful. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. That's very powerful. And then for 2 mana, he can give any creature lifelink until end of turn. Then another 3-drop is Linden, 3 white. She is a 3/3 vigilance, which means attacking does not cause her to tap. Whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. You can see the synergy here if you have Heliod on the battlefield plus a Johnny's Pridemate. I mean, if you get to that point where you have Linden, Heliod, and a Johnny's Pridemate all on the battlefield, you're probably going to win the game within a turn. Then the top end here is 4 mana, Luminous Broodmoth. I really, really like this card. It is a 3/4 flying. Whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. So basically, the only other creature you have with flying in this deck is Healer's Hawk. The rest of the creatures are all ground creatures. So if you have this card on the battlefield, if they try and kill any of your other creatures, it just comes back to the battlefield with a flying counter on it. Unless it's exiled. Exiled does not count as dying. Exiled is being exiled. So that's a very important thing to remember. But if it's just a destroy effect, say they destroy like a Daxos or a Johnny's Pridemate, now if it's a Pridemate, it'll lose whatever +1 counters are on it, but it's going to come right back to the battlefield. Plus it's going to have flying. So they would have to kill this before they try and kill anything else. So Luminous Broodmoth is very, very good in my opinion, which is why it is a mythic rare. You can tell by the Ember insignia on the right there. And it's one of the new cards from Ikoria. So it's one of the few cards of Ikoria that I really, really like. Now, as far as the lands go, I'm going to go over this really quick. I should have went over this in the previous video, but I was kind of all over the place. Now, when it comes to land counts, typically decks will have between 20 and 26 lands. That's just my preference. I don't like going below 20. I've seen people with aggro decks, like really, really aggressive aggro decks, go with like 18 or 19 lands. I'm not a fan of going that low. I never go below 20 in a 60 card deck. In limited, of course, limited you're playing 40 card decks, but in And limited, I'm not the best at limited, so don't take your advice from me when it comes to like booster drafts or sealed. Don't take your advice from me. I'm not good at limited, but I am pretty good at constructed, which is what this is. So 60 card decks, usually when it comes to an aggro deck like this where a lot of your stuff is no more than 4 mana, I like to run just 20 lands. I usually don't have too much of a problem, but sometimes you can get mana screwed. But typically, if you start with 2 lands in your hand, with this kind of a deck, depending on what you have in your hand as far as casting, I went over this yesterday in my video. Look at your lands and what you can do within the first couple of turns with those lands. If you can play a few things, that's great. Keep the hand. If you get 2 lands in your hand and you don't have anything that costs 1 or 2, you probably should mulligan. So, but one of the lands in here is called Castle Ardenvale. This is a very useful card. It is a special land. It's a rare. It's from Throne of Eldraine. So it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control planes. Obviously, we're mono white, so having a planes on the battlefield won't be a problem. It adds 1 white mana, and then for 4 mana, so 2 colorless and 2 white, you can tap it and create a 1/1 human creature token. So that is very, very useful, especially against control decks that are running a lot of removal. I would like to have 2 in here, but I only have 1, and I've been using my rare wild cards in other places. So that's the basic of an aggro deck. Some decks will have other objectives. You know, this is centered around life gain. This is more centered around just trying to run over your opponent with a bunch of other stuff. These cards have a little bit more flavor to them as far as text, like Robber of the Rich. So I don't want to spend too much time here. I've already spent like 15 minutes going over one deck. But that's just one. I'm going to stick to aggro decks right now. So we'll go ahead and play a few games with our aggro decks. And of course, you know, before we jump into things, if you don't mind, if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below if you have any questions or anything like that, or comments. I'll definitely engage with you. Mon frere. All right. Took a guess on the pronunciation there. So we are on the draw, so the likelihood of us drawing something we can cast between 1 and 3 mana is pretty good. We have 3 lands, so we can get to Linden, and we have 2 Luminous Broodmoths. And since these aren't legendary, it would be great to have 2 of these down. So, sure. We'll take a shot. This is like an iffy hand. It really depends on what you draw. But 3 lands in your opener, see, you're more than likely to draw a creature you're going to be able to cast. So we'll start with a Healer's Hawk. See what our opponent plays. Boreal Grazer. So this is most likely a ramp deck. So Boreal Grazer. It's a 1 green for a 0/3 reach. When it enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. It's just a way to cheat extra land onto the battlefield. So we'll do this. Since this has reach, that means it can block creatures with flying. So we're just going to play Impassioned Orator, and we're going to gain some life. They're going to block, but we're just going to gain life. There's no reason not to. So what we're really hoping for is a 4th land. Okay, so they're going to mutate. Parcel Beast. So they're going to attack. We're just going to take it. Alright, there's an Alseed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Impassioned Orator. Gain life. And I'm going to play Alseed. Gain some more life. We'll attack for 3. They'll block the Healer's Hawk. Not okay, I was going to say. They'll block the Impassioned Orator. We'll take 1. We'll gain 1. Primal Empathy. So this is a really powerful card here. So at the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card if you control a creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield. Otherwise, put a +1 counter. So, let's see. So we'll just keep things a little slow here. We'll play Eidolon of Obstruction. Really hoping we can hit that 4th land soon. We gain 2 more life. Alright. so hopefully let me put it on the battlefield. Like I said, I said this in my review for Ikoria. The amount of additional mana ramp and ways to cheat lands onto the battlefield is just absurd in this deck, in this set rather. Ramp has gotten insanely more powerful, so probably the problem with this type of a aggro deck is that we don't have a whole lot of ways to get rid of high toughness creatures outside of Banishing Light, so we are really hurting right now. So go ahead and pass. Alright, well there is Banishing Light, so we'll see if we can cast it. They obviously have something because it stops, it doesn't automatically go to the battlefield, so they obviously have something. They have an instant that they have an ability that they can interact with, etc. So yep, alright. Figures. There's no point in attacking. So even though you outnumber them, there really isn't a point. Strix. Okay. So this is where we pretty much lose the game unless we draw a land. We really, really, really need a land right now. Yeah, it's really the only way we're going to have a chance at winning this game. Okay, they get yet another creature. We do not get a land. However, we do get an Ajani's Pridemate. That does help. We will attack with Healer's Hawk to gain some life. Pump up the Pridemate a little bit more. We'll end the turn. So Pridemate is really good in this situation. Not the best, but okay. So they're mutating again in order to search for a land because of the mutate ability, and they also get the Auspicious Sterix. Mutate is such a powerful mechanic. I mean, it is just insane. Yeah, I've mentioned this before, but in my review video, but yeah. God. Yep. Alright, not really sure how we're gonna get. Are you kidding me? Alright, well, at least we make the Pridemate bigger, I guess. I kind of have to keep the Pridemate on blocking duty for right now, so we just do not have the okay. Yeah, and they also get to put counters on their creatures to match our Pridemate, which is a problem. So we probably need to start attacking with the Pridemate next turn. If we draw a land, I would love to play Linden, but they have so much mana right now that they probably have a ton of counter spells. So I think this game might be over. I mean, I'm not one to admit it's helpless, but I mean, just you're seeing exactly how out of control this mutate concept is. I swear, this deck is just laughing at me right now. So you're seeing the struggles of playing only 20 lands. Very often you'll get screwed just like this. Alright, so we're going to do this. Unfortunately, we have to do this. Do green. I'm going to look at the top card. Okay, so we got rid of one card. Still hurting here. I mean, the good news is that we can still take quite a bit of damage. But the problem is we lost our only protection for the Pridemate. I had to start doing something here. Otherwise, they're just going to run us over. So, I mean, we're probably going to get run over anyway. If we don't draw another land, we're in some serious shite. So they're not attacking yet. Alright, there's the other land. We'll see if this flies. Probably not. Yeah, figures. Just gotta keep growing the Pridemate. It's the only thing we can do. So I played Linden first because I figured they had more counter magic. So this is one of those situations where whatever card you feel is more valuable to hit, like whatever card you feel is most valuable. I know I have 3, but it would be incredibly useful to have 3 Broodmoths on the battlefield. Hell, even 2 or 1. So I felt Linden, yeah, sure, you can gain life, but we have 3 Impassioned Orators on the battlefield. Any creature we get that hits the battlefield, we're going to gain 3 life simultaneously. Excuse me. Which means we'll hit 3 counters on Pridemate. So I feel that the Broodmoths are a lot more valuable. So I kind of want to have a better chance of having at least one of them stick on the battlefield. And if that's the case, good God. I would rather have... I mean, it sucks we're playing 1 spell a turn. So, okay, there's another land. We'll try a Broodmoth. With this kind of a deck, you have to wonder how many... They just play all the counter spells. So, I mean, we're just going to keep gaining life. This really wasn't the first match I had in mind, but they're down to 23 cards, so they have to win at some point. Okay, they're gonna mutate. They're drawing a card, so they may. I honestly don't know what their plan is. They're really thinning their deck out. So, I mean, and they're creating more tokens. What was... Oh, it's another Mysterious Egg. Okay. So they're down to 18 cards. If we draw another land, we can pay for the Quench. So that counter spell they used is called Quench. For 2 mana, they can counter a spell unless we pay 2 mana. So if we get another land, which we should be on schedule to draw another land. We can... Jeez. So they're just building up an army right now. They put literally everything they exile onto the battlefield. I mean, this is just insane. This is why I said, man, Mutate is just a broken concept. Especially this card. Like, so ridiculous. So we're just going to take 11 because we're at 33. So if okay, there's Heliod. So this is where Heliod could really help us out here. We have 2 mana, so we have Quench. We can pay for Quench if Heliod sticks. Okay. Does this have trample? No, it just has hexproof. Alright. So they're down to 8 cards, so we just have to stay alive at this point. They're probably just going to attack with everything. So, I mean, we probably... Not probably. We definitely lose. We definitely lose. Yep. Alright, so 3 times 4 is 12... 13, 14, 20, 26. Alright, so we need to do, obviously we need to do some blocking. So let's take out 1 mutate. Let's chump block here. Chump block here. So 3, 12, 12, 12, 13, 14. I think I did my math right. Okay. Ugh. It's worth a shot. Okay. So we pretty much need everything here right now. They're at 7 cards. Literally all the... I mean, let's just see what happens. I mean, we're definitely going to lose, but... Let's see if we block 6... Alright, they can put 3 counters on something. Alright, let's see. Yep. So we block there. 3, 6, 9. So that's 12, 13, 14. So 3, so 3, 4, 5. That's if they don't play anything, and that is a fat chance if they don't play anything. Yeah, getting stuck on 3 lands is... Okay, they have another Mysterious Egg, another Paradise Druid, another Paradise Druid. Alright. So 369. All right, so we definitely do have to block. So we'll block that. Oh, I accidentally double blocked on a symbiote. I did not mean to do that. Let's see if it sticks. It does. I don't, yeah, we definitely, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. They're at 6. So they definitely get +1 counters on everything. Yep, they're beefing up the Paradise Druids. Or at least, yep. They're going straight to combat. We're just attacking with everything. Alright. So we'll do here. We'll do here. We'll do here. And we'll do here. And yeah, we lose. Good games. Well, that was awful. But yeah, that right there just shows exactly how insane Mutate is, and how much fun it is to play against Mutate. It's such a great mechanic, and I'm just so glad that they created it. So we'll go ahead and we'll play a different type of aggro life gain deck. This is the black-white version, so similar concept. Obviously this is going to be a much longer video because of the massive intro that I had. Alright, this I don't mind. Going second really sucks, but you kind of have to keep this just because of the massive amount of 1-drops we have. So no, I want a 3rd land. So Vampire of the Dire Moon is a very good 1-drop for black. It is a 1/1 Death Touch lifelink. So Death Touch means if it deals damage to any creature, it kills it instantly. So we'll drop a Vampire, and we will drop a Healer's Hawk. So this is another 20 land deck. So it looks like we're playing against mono red, but a very slow mono red. So let's get Pridemate and Alseid, or not Alseid, sorry, Vampire. That's fine. We gain 2 life simultaneously, so 2 counters on a Ajani's Pridemate. They only get 1 Satyr. Probably gonna shock. Oh, Fateful End. Okay. Fateful End is an interesting card. I like it because you get the Scry and it's only 1 mana. I mean, not 1 mana. It's 3 damage and you scry 1, but it's 3 mana. That's what I meant to say. So we'll go ahead and we'll get Lurrus out. So Lurrus is a companion. Oh, I should have attacked with both. I was stupid. I forgot these things can't block. I was too busy like talking about Lurrus. So Lurrus is a companion. Each permanent card in your starting deck has converted mana cost 2 or less. He dies, which is fine. I'd rather... Alright, so... we'll just get an Alseid out, that's fine. So I'm kind of surprised that we are... we're getting this far ahead against mono red. We also have a removal spell, Mortify. Mortify is very good for black-white because it can hit a creature or an enchantment, and it's an instant, so Mortify is very good. Also, another fun fact here in Magic, you can rearrange your cards in your hand however you want. Me, I try and organize them by lands, and then spells, and then mana cost. Storm's Wrath, so we'll do this, do that. So remember, this is dealing damage to each creature. So we'll play another Eidolon. For 5. Okay. Alright, good games, Lord Prometheus. Alright. So that is, we'll do one more. Okay, so I attempted to record another match with a different aggro deck, and we got a few turns in, and then my opponent just decided to stop playing, and we sat there for a while until they eventually timed out and conceded. So, unfortunately, this is already a 45-minute video, if that, so we're going to go ahead and just cut it there. This is already extremely long, but hopefully you got the idea of some of the basic styles of play. I can go over more of these in the future. Just make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. I'm trying to do as many different videos as I can, as opposed to just straight videos. So I will, however, go back to regular deck techs. I'll probably do that tomorrow, and then I'll work on getting some more like intro and tutorial videos going forward. So again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week, great day, great weekend, all that stuff, and of course, stay safe.